Hello, and welcome to Young Global Leaders, where we get the chance to hear from young people hailing from all around the world, sharing about themselves, their accomplishments, and their vision for a better world. Recently, I had the privilege of leading a group of about 100 young people from over 40 countries to 7 global regions on an 8-month global gap year program. Most of them had just graduated from high school, though we also had a few older students. During our 8+ months together, the students formed a deeply loving and supportive community. Anyone could see that they had built something unique and inspiring. Through my eyes as a teacher, coach, and global leadership consultant, what I saw was unlike anything I'd seen before. When the program ended, I desperately wanted to keep in touch with these students and to share their example with the world. So I started the Young Global Leaders podcast.
Today we hear from Iris Vavilov. Iris Vavilov, welcome.
Hi, Jason. Welcome.
Nice to see you again. I just wanted to dive right into it and wondering if you can start by sharing with us where you're joining us from today.
So right now I'm in Romania, Bucharest, the city I'm studying in.
Great. We'll get into a little bit later what it is that you're studying. But first, I want to ask you the question that I start all these conversations with. What makes you you?
So I really like this question because I feel like when I answer it, it's more questionable. Like I answer with a question. So I feel like what makes me me is the fact that I don't accept a me. So basically, our brains tell a story about ourselves, and we are all made to tell this story like, oh, I was born, I grew up like this, and then create a narrative for ourselves. But I felt like in my life, especially after traveling for 1 year, I learned how to deconstruct these narratives. So I would say that what makes me me is the fact that I question a lot of things and the fact that I like going deep into things.
I love it.
Even when it's unnecessary.
Well, unnecessary. I mean, if we're only doing things that are necessary, where's the fun in that, right? I love that because I feel like that's one aspect of who you are that I really related to is your really high level of curiosity. I always just felt like you and I could talk about just about anything, and just I always appreciated the freedom to just explore whatever was right there in front of us. So that and I so appreciate the depth of thinking that you brought to the question as well. Questioning the question. It's perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you tell our listeners a little something about the global adventure that we were on recently together?
Yes, so as I like to say, I traveled and got educated with Barrett Scholars. So this program, Barrett Scholar, is a program taught for, I would say, high school students and usually first or second university students, like younger students in general, where you get to travel in 7 regions of the world, and you also get to explore basically everything. Like every domain from the morning program speakers, which is a well thought educational part within the program, and also the afternoon options. And I would say, if I could like define everything in a sentence, is discover who you are and discover the world. So that was my gap year experience, which is unfairly called a gap year. I felt like it was a more active year than all of my years have been. So
can you tell us a little bit more about your story? Like share with us about your background and also how you became a part of this program.
So how I became a part of this program is pretty funny. I joined like a math Discord, and I tried applying for an online program that I got rejected in the past. And I met one of my friends from India, and he recommended to me this program. So I'm studying computer science and engineering, and as everyone knows, engineering is hard. And I was just complaining to this friend who's also studying computer science and engineering, like, oh my God, the engineering is so hard. I don't know what to do. And he recommended Beret scholars to me to just travel the world and take a break.
Mm.
So that's how I got to become part of the program. And a bit of my background, I was born in Tulcea, which is a small fisher town in Romania.
Mm.
And I always wanted to like study abroad and meet new cultures and meet new people. However, before going into university, my dad got a little sick. He
Oh.
got diagnosed with diabetes, so I needed to study at that time in Bucharest. And I'm very glad I got to get this opportunity and just travel with so many people. I got to meet so many cultures in just 1 year, so I'm very grateful for that.
Nice. You said it was your dad who got sick?
Yes.
Can you tell us how he's doing?
He's pretty good right now. Like he's taking his meds, just
Mm-hmm. Managing his condition?
yeah.
Okay, good. We often talk about learning as an important outcome of a program like this, and I'm wondering if you might share with us anything that you might have unlearned during your travels.
I think I have a lot of things that I unlearn, but I would say the most important thing that I unlearn is in trying to be the smartest person in the room.
Mm.
So I feel like ever since I got into school, the most important thing was to be the smartest in the room, like have the biggest grades, know all the facts, know all the answers to the trivia, and like just know everything. However, I feel like in real life, you don't need to be smart. You need to be like you need to be smart, of course, but you also need to be social. You need to have humor. You need to be around people. I feel like social intelligence gets you a lot more than just being smart, like academically smart. Because I even with this conversation, at the end of the day, I feel like we're having this conversation because of the little conversations, like personal conversations we've had, rather than just the mentor teacher part of the program.
Mm. I'd like to just dig a little bit deeper into this. I find it so fascinating because the way that you just stated it was so matter of fact, and I could also imagine that that's some difficult unlearning to do because it's easy to identify, like have it be part of who I am, like to be the smartest person in the room, for example. So it doesn't. I mean, like I say, it strikes me as a kind of unlearning that might be really difficult. So I'm wondering if you could share with us anything that's a little bit more specific. If there were any particular moments throughout the year where that unlearning kind of became apparent to you, and maybe you started to make some kind of peace with it.
Yeah, I have a very specific moment. So during my travel, I made a very good friend from Korea, and we would always get into this very, I don't know how to say, fiery conversations, like
Mm.
almost like academic debates most of the times. Like she studied law, so it kind of makes sense. But before the program ended, I think we had a longer talk, and she told me that she doesn't like that all of our conversation are just academic debates. She would like to just sit down and drink some tea, or like drink a bubble tea, since we were in China at graduation, and just enjoy the conversation and let it flow. Like just ask the questions with an open heart rather than an open ring for debate. And I felt very, very sad because she was one of my best friends at that time, and I feel like I'm losing one of my best friends.
Can you say why it was that you felt like you were losing her?
I felt like I was losing her because she was starting to spend more time with someone else,
Mm.
and uh, every time I would try to like join the conversation, I felt like I would just end the conversation to some extent.
So how did that turn around?
After we had that hard conversation, I just started to ask more questions and listen to their whole point of view without questioning. I don't know how that word was spelled or whatever can be questioned in the conversation. And we, like the three of us, started to be very good friends, and we're still in contact. A Romanian, a Moroccan, and a Korean. It sounds like a funny start of a joke or something.
It does, yeah. How did I hope you don't mind me digging into this because I think there's really good lessons here. I think for everybody, and that's why I'm digging into this because it sounds like a really transformative journey that you've been on. And transformation usually does rarely comes easily. There's usually difficulties associated with it. So the next question I have for you about this is how did the difficult conversation that you had with your friend, how did that conversation come about?
So it was the last fellowship in China. We were in Shenzhen, and it was, I think, pretty late at night. It was like 2 a.m., and we were having a debate about the educational system in the US.
Mm.
And then by the end of the debate, she was like, I'm sorry, I'm just tired. You always do this with the conversation. And I was like, yeah, I have a feeling that I'm stressing you a little bit. So maybe we should talk about it the next day. So the next day, we just had an open conversation where I said, don't be afraid to question me, which was very hard on my like on my side. It's pretty hard to just step on your ego and say, hey, I know I might be wrong. Don't be afraid to just put the things I do wrong in my face. And we had this conversation over food and tea, so I felt like the food and the tea made
Mm.
things more easy. So yeah, I think that was it. So basically, someone in the room needs to step on their ego and be like, okay, I think I might be wrong here. Can you tell me why? I feel like I'm doing this to you. I've seen that you're getting sad or overwhelmed, or I don't know, sometimes it's too much. And it is probably too much. Like we've had that conversation about the educational system in the US for like 3 or 4 hours, which is insane, especially for like a 2 a.m. conversation.
Mm. Well, I love what you said about would you say stomping on the ego? Was that the language that you used? What did you say?
Uh, yes, like stepping on your ego, because
Right.
you need to put that little you down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that takes a lot of courage. I mean, I'm thinking about the way uh, a typical way that this could have gone, especially because it was late in the year. And I know we talked about this as a group as we were nearing the end, this whole concept of separation anxiety, that when you know you're going to be separating from somebody, it's very easy to put up walls and barriers. And you and your friend did the exact opposite of that, right?
I mean, yeah, and I also had a very close relationship to her. So we also went to church together, even though I would not say I'm the most religious person in the world. However, I got to feel something by being with her there. So
Mm.
I was very happy to just share that one moment together. So I feel like even that one moment just got us closer and closer. And I was not afraid to be vulnerable.
Which also is not normal in the sense that, we often protect ourselves. I mean, it's something that it's a basic human thing, right? Where it's like when you're vulnerable, you're opening yourself up to the possibility of pain, right?
Yeah, you do.
And what made it worth it for you? Why was it worth it for you to open yourself up in that way?
That's a very good question. I feel like um I had this feeling that I would rather have this person witness my life, and I would rather have me witness her life than lose her forever. I feel
Mm,
like the feeling that I want to be close to her for a longer period and that she contributes to my life was stronger than the feeling of, oh, I just need to be safe and good and feel the best at this moment.
mm. I love that. I love that. I'll tell you why I love it because it's making a choice and being very intentional about putting a relationship with another human being ahead of any of the other concerns that often outweigh that, like concerns about who I think of myself to be. So the ego piece, and then also trying to wall myself off from others in order to protect myself. And you did the opposite of that. So that's why I find that inspiring.
Thank you. I feel like I try to do the opposite of that because that's how you secure meaningful friendships for a longer period of time. Like, it was kind of hard for me to integrate within the cohort, especially with so many people from so many different backgrounds. But I felt like once I got my pace and once I got my people, I formed connections that are going to last longer than normal. Like, longer than just your high school friends who just disappear and grow out of the relationship.
Good, good. And it sounds like these relationships have continued. Well, this relationship with this person and the third person you said have continued since the end of the program, right?
Yes, actually, one of them gave me an opportunity to be a teacher in Morocco, so that was even mm, like a proof for me that hey,
Mm.
this relationship is beneficial.
Well, that's great. Can you say, are you going to be traveling to Morocco to teach, or is this a virtual? Can you say more about that opportunity?
No, I'm not gonna travel to Morocco to teach. I made a deliberate choice to stay in Romania for the next year.
Okay, great. We'll circle back to that towards the end of this conversation to hear about what's coming up for you in your immediate future. Well, thank you for accompanying me and allowing me to go down that road. I think that was really interesting and inspiring to hear your story about your friend and your relationship. I'm wondering if you can tell us. I mean, of course, you've probably got dozens, if not hundreds, of stories from your time on this journey. Is there one story in particular from your travels that you could share with us that left a deep impression on you?
Mm, so I would say the best thing for me, like the best fellowship and experience, was in Rwanda. I like the people that guided me through the experiences a lot. And no, sorry for being like that. It's just the story is very emotional for me.
Mm,
So we were volunteering with Sheer Love Rwanda, and I met this girl that was struggling with chemistry. Like, we were asked to do some educational work, like teach the kids this or help them with that. So I met this girl who was struggling with chemistry, and she was out of school for like 2 years, and she was around 17 and she was doing ninth grade chemistry, so she was a little bit behind. And we were just talking, and I was teaching to her this subject. And by the end of the teaching session, like, let's call it like that, she told me that I'm the best teacher she ever had, and she would really love to become a scientist like me one day. And that really, really touched my heart because, as I said, my first year of engineering was not the best. So I
mm,
had very bad grades. I had a very bad health situation. Like, I would get sick or like colds all of the time. And I never thought of myself as a scientist. And suddenly this girl tells me, "You're the best teacher I've ever had, and I want to be a scientist like you one day." And I didn't even know what to say. Like, I couldn't just argue with her and tell her, you know, I'm not actually a scientist. I still need to finish my PhD and my master's. And I just felt very, very happy. And I almost cried. I cried when I got home, not in front of her, because as we talked earlier, we need to protect our egos. But it was, I think, one of the moments that is fueling my education. Like right now, I really want to go back to university and try to give my best to it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and skip forward because it keeps coming back in terms of what you're up to now and what your plans are. So can you share like what's going on now, your plans for the next year, and your even beyond that? What do you have in store? What do you, or at least ideally, right? What are you hoping
Yeah.
for,
So
planning for?
So right now I started Beret with starting an NGO. Like at the beginning of Beret, I was trying to open an NGO, and I opened an NGO called Alacrity Education, where we promote science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics to kids from underdeveloped areas from our country, and we also promote high quality education to kids from, I don't know, like privileged areas, like bigger cities. And we just want to make education better. And I started this NGO at the beginning of Beret. And right now we secured the space in the center of Bucharest to open a community lab. So basically, it's an interdisciplinary lab with physics, chemistry, robotics, electronics, and like computers, digital art, where students can come and just explore their passion. And uh, besides that, we're also writing projects. So a lot of things on the NGO part. But what I'm doing is one, running the NGO, and two, starting my second year of computer science and engineering, which is pretty funny. Like no one expected me to just return back at the same, at least the first impression is like the same thing, the same routine, but I feel like I'm a new person for some reason. I feel more motivated. I feel way less depressed, and I feel like I actually made the choice this time. I felt like I didn't just go with computer science because I had nothing to do, or just because I didn't need to lose my academic momentum, as everyone says.
Mm.
But I went with computer science because I realized, hey, I actually like this. Like, I would just stop the conversation and talk with other people about computer related stuff or like linguistics related stuff just for fun and just for the sake of it. So maybe I should just continue studying it, even though I feel sometimes like the university doesn't really touch all of my needs or like provides for all of my needs. I feel like mm, I can touch my needs better with like the association and what we're doing at Alacrity, like giving people the chance to experience science for the first time, or giving just giving people this feeling of, oh, I want to be a scientist like you one day.
So Alacrity is the name.
Yeah, Alacrity Education.
You may have already said this, so if I missed it, my apologies. How old are these youngsters who are coming to learn there?
So we have different programs for different age groups. We have a chemistry and physics program for kids aged 5 to 13.
Mm.
And then we have the main project that we got most funds for. It's called Airbox. So basically, we're trying to build an air monitoring station with vape batteries.
Mm.
And yeah, we found a way to like we're researching a way to recycle the vape batteries because they're just killing the soil and everything. And the kids there are not really kids, they're mostly high school students and university students. So anywhere between 16 and 25. Like our oldest students was 25. And we also had someone who was 33 at that time. She was an architect that just wanted to like learn more about science and technology and how to integrate her career with technology and also meet younger people, which was very interesting. And right now she's a volunteer, which is even more motivational for me.
Okay, so this I also want to dig into a little bit. So here we are. There's now an existing NGO that you created. But I want to rewind and go back to because that doesn't just happen. You have had to do a lot of work, I'm sure, and do a lot of persistence through many obstacles in order to not only to create the NGO, but to have it actually serving these people who you wanted it to serve. What can you share with us a little bit more about what need you saw that had you originally have the idea for the NGO, and then what has kept you going through all the obstacles, including continuing to work on this while you were plenty busy throughout the entire traveling year as well?
Yeah, so the first need I saw was, I would say, my personal need. So when I was in seventh grade, actually, when I was in fifth grade, I kind of liked math, and my math teacher was always there for me to help me with math and everything. Um, However, I never qualified for like the National Math Olympiad or like for the higher uh, math Olympiads, and I felt very, very sad. And I almost quit science at that time. However, in seventh grade, I met this chemistry teacher by accident. So basically, our original chemistry teacher got sick, and we got a professor who was 82 years old, and he just wrote a problem on the blackboard, and he told us, if you know how to solve this problem, you're probably a genius. And I didn't answer that. I wasn't like, oh my god, yes, I'm going to go to the blackboard and just solve the problem and my life changed. It was not really like a movie. I just sit in my at my desk pretty sad because I was already sad with like the math Olympiad and trying over and over again for fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, and never winning. And I just sit at my desk and I was trying to solve the problem, and I solved it. And the professor just came next to my desk and he was like, you already solved the problem. Why don't you come to the blackboard to show it to the other students? And I was like, I don't want to go to the blackboard. And he was like, why? "Mm, I just don't want to go to the blackboard." And he was like, no, you need to go to the blackboard. Just get your notebook if you don't know how to solve it, or you just Google it. And I solved it. And then after the class, we had a conversation, and I told him about the math Olympiad and how I'm sad and blah, blah, blah. And he told me, it's not with a student like you, it's not the fault. It's not your fault that you didn't win the math Olympiad. It's your teacher's fault. And I can train you to go to the chemistry Olympiad and win. And I was like, who is this guy to be so confident? And so he just replaced my teacher, and now he's just, oh yes, you're going to the chemistry Olympiad. So he prepared me for only 2 weeks because the Olympiad was approaching. And I went to the regional phase, and I got first place, which was crazy for me. It was the first qualification for like the national rounds I I I've experienced in my life. So that really changed my life. But it was his will to train me. It was the fact that he saw something that I couldn't see at that time. And I feel like I know that that changed my life because I went to the chemistry Olympiad in seventh grade. Then I got more confidence, and in eighth grade, I went to my chemistry teacher, like my next chemistry teacher, and told her I want to participate in the Olympiad and I want to win. And I trained myself. I got a prize in the nationals, and then at high school, everyone knew me like the chemistry girl, the girl that won the Olympiad, because people from my city didn't didn't win any like big prizes at national phases because we don't really have teachers to teach them, sadly. So I was a little star, I would say, in high school, and I could mm, get away with a lot of things. Like I could participate in a debate contest and just miss some other classes, like sociology classes. So yeah.
So if I understand correctly, it was this 82-year-old who kind of took you under his wing, showed belief in you, and then provided you with some critical training that allowed you to accomplish an academic goal for yourself that inspired you then to provide this for others. Is that a reasonably
Yes,
accurate summary?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, because my parents didn't really finish a bachelor's, and uh, it was statistically impossible for me to just be the type of person to, hey, I want to finish a PhD casually. So yeah, it was his inspiration and the fact that he believed in me when no one did, like when everyone
Mm.
thought, yeah, she's just a quiet, nice kid.
Have you encountered significant obstacles in your creation of your NGO?
Yes. I actually have a funny story with that. So technically, in our laws, it says that you can um, give all the documents online. However, we like through email, which I found it very interesting. And we send all the documents to like ask for an approval if our name would be available and all of this stuff. So we send all the documents through email, and then 2 weeks later, we get a response to the email by letter. And in the
Mm.
letter, it said, uh, come with the documents at desk number, blah, 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 at this institution, which I found it very funny because it just showed the problems that we had, the bureaucracy behind the process. And yeah, it was just very funny. Like every time I tell the story to my friends, they're like, it's so odd that a lot of private companies are striking to being more efficient, implementing AI, doing this to be more efficient, and then we have the state that does this with replying to emails by letters.
Okay, so you see it as funny. I could easily imagine
Yeah.
people seeing it as discouraging and being like, okay, well, I tried. I'm done. But you didn't do that. You kept going. Why?
Mm, because I tried too many times and failed too many times to fail this time too.
Okay. So you were already so invested, is what it sounds like.
Yes, I'm already so invested. And I felt like I also had the people around me. Like when I got let's call it the beret stamp,
The
because
beret
I
stamp.
felt like,
Okay.
yeah, I felt like when I got the beret stamp, like I got accepted into beret scholars, a lot of people around me were more motivated to work towards the NGO and towards our mission and everything, because it all made sense. She got to be very good in school. She got all the support from her chemistry teacher. Then she got confidence. She got to win other contests, and she got to build a lot of confidence and a good portfolio and a good CV and good relationships. So it should make sense to teach other people science and how to be confident in themselves, because I feel like math is the subject that can destroy your confidence the fastest. Because I hear a lot of kids being like, oh, I don't know how to solve this problem because I am stupid. Or we perpetuate this idea that, hey, you don't know math because you are stupid. Only smart people know math. But it's not like that. I just worked very, very hard. And I felt like I was stupid in the first year of engineering, which was very hard for me at that time.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Okay. Now, so you're busy with Alacrity. You also said you're in your second year of what? University?
Yes, computer science and engineering.
So you're a full-time student and
Yes.
a full-time NGO runner. How are you making this happen?
It's pretty hard. I feel like sometimes I need to sacrifice a part of my academic journey. Like if I don't necessarily, I don't know, for example, my grades in electrical engineering were not the best because I'm not necessarily that I'm not passionate, but I feel like at least academically, electrical engineering was so hard for me. But I'm good at coding. Like I got best grades at coding. So I feel like if I invest in that, I'll have a good return.
Okay. Well, I gotta say, it seems like you're accomplishing an awful lot right now. Um, all
It's
right, I'm gonna move.
also
Oh no, go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry. It's also this thing that during high school, I participated in a lot of contests on Olympiads and extracurriculars because everyone told me you need to participate in all these extracurriculars, and one day MIT or Harvard or whatever Ivy League would just come at you and give you an offer. But it never happened. Like,
Mm,
they don't just come at you and give you an offer. Like, sure, if you're extraordinary in your field, they might give you an offer if you know someone that knows someone that knows someone, etc. But if you don't show off that you're extraordinary and you're just working, working, working and getting all this mm, like recognitions, I don't know, diplomas, all of this academic stuff, you might end up missing on a big part of life and not even realizing it. So I feel like I am more open to sacrifice maybe my grades for building something real and meaningful right now than I would be in high school. Like in high school, I was so concentrated on just making the most out of my CV and my portfolio and everything that I would just miss out on, I don't know, people around me.
hmm Wow. Okay, so that's also pretty extraordinary to have that kind of realization at this point. I would say in your life and career. Can you share with us like what do you envision if you've thought about this? Uh, what do you see for yourself once you're finished with college?
Hmm. That's a very hard question. I really don't know. I feel like I would like to work into politics or into a medium that changes something directly. Um, and I feel like I also came to this realization while being in Rwanda, because the woman that we met there and that introduced us to how politics works in Rwanda and how they transformed a city from zero to hero, as a lot of people say, uh, was very emotional and very inspiring for me. So I
Mm,
would really like to work on, I don't know, like AI ethics on like or like shape the policies around the digital era, because that's just AI is just scary, especially right now with the little digital literacy that we have. Like a lot of my relatives would just come at me with a Facebook video and be like, "Oh my God, look at this! This is beautiful," and it would be like an AI generated image with an AI generated song. So I would really like to work on that.
gotcha. Okay. Well, I love the commitment to impact that you actually want to have an impact, and I mean, clearly you're already doing that with your NGO. I'm wondering next, Edis, if you could share with us. So you traveled the world with peers from over 40 different countries. So
Yes.
you definitely know a thing or two about how to communicate and collaborate across cultures. What insights have you gained about this as a result of your experiences on the program?
Mm, so firstly, I got to learn a lot about different cultures, which I would say gave me an advantage, especially when talking with people uh, with like mm, mm, firms that want to give us support in our NGO from abroad. I also feel like I'm more tolerant because of that. Like, oh, okay, that's their culture. That's very nice. It's glad that I knew it and I got introduced to it before. But I feel like the most important thing when it comes to communicating and collaborating against with cultures is stepping on your ego. But it's not only between, let's say, social cultures. Like, you need to step on your ego if you're, I don't know, a woman and you talk with a man, because you might have different views. You need to step on your ego if you're a kid and you're talking with someone older and they're like, oh my God, this generation. You need to step on your ego. So culture goes beyond just borders,
Mhm.
I would say. You can
So,
be from the same country and still have different cultures and don't never find like a middle ground. I feel like you need to be willing to set the middle ground before putting your perspective up front.
mm, have you got any moments that you could share with us? Were there any moments that you can think of where you were in the presence of some kind of a difference? I won't call it cultural because I do want to I want to open it up, keep it open to something broader, like you're suggesting, where you really just had to consciously and intentionally make a choice to step on your ego.
I would say I have a moment when I didn't step on my ego, and then I realized I was wrong about it. So I was talking with a friend from Brazil. So it was me, this friend from Brazil, and Juliana from Poland. And in Eastern Europe, 8th of March is a very important holiday. So it's National Women's Day. And they feel like because of communism and the Eastern Bloc and how communism promoted this holiday, right now we're kind of keeping it as tradition. So on 8th of March, if you're from Romania or Poland and you're a woman, you would just get a flower and be appreciated and like be very appreciated just for being a woman. And we were talking with this guy from Brazil, and he was like, "Yeah, what's 8th of March? Just another day." And me and this girl, we just had this visceral reaction, like, "Oh my God, how can you say that? It's National Women's Day, International Women's Day." And he was like, "Yeah, in Brazil we just say happy birthday and we continue our day." No, it's not correct. And we had this little moment where we kind of bullied him out of the conversation, which was very bad on our side. And on 8th of March, him and other guys organized a moment for all the girls in the fellowship in Rwanda, which was very, very nice. And he kind of like taught us a lesson.
I love it. I love it. And I think actually now that you mention it, I think because I was on that fellowship with you in Rwanda, I think I remember
Yes.
some WhatsApp group traffic around that. That was very sweet.
Yeah.
That was really sweet.
Yeah,
Um,
that came out of bullying, which I found it very funny when I know like the context and everything. And I found it very sweet that he kind of found the middle ground when it comes
right.
to
Well, I want
cultural.
to name. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. Finish the thought.
Yeah, I would say that I found it very funny that he, after he got put in an awkward situation, found the middle ground when it comes to
Hmm.
cross-cultural communication.
I want to just name and uplift once again how abnormal it is what you did, right? So I mean, like the typical kind of human thing is like, oh, he says this thing that makes you and your other beret, colleague, fellow traveler upset, you express your upsetness, you go your separate ways. Right? That's it. You don't even necessarily talk about it anymore, but that's not what happened. Right? All of you did some really important inner work that then ended up having this wonderful public, like spread it. You were able to spread some learning and some appreciation and actually strengthen relationships, not just amongst yourself, but also amongst the entire community. That's pretty extraordinary.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the inspiration. Okay, I got one more question for you, Edie. So we live in a world that is full of suffering, and a lot of that suffering is caused by humans. And it can be easy to feel overwhelmed. It can be really easy to lose hope. Have you got any words to encourage us about the future?
Stop using social media.
Mm.
I would say that the best thing you can do to ease your suffering is to choose your own suffering. So in my case, for example, I knew that I had no chance, statistically speaking, to become what I became right now, to like travel the world and study and I don't know, not be addicted to things and all of this stuff because of the background I'm coming from. However, I chose to open my NGO to give people what I received at that time and what helped me at the time. So I rather chose to skip some parties sometimes and suffer in this sense, but give meaning to the world rather than suffer the fact that I have no ideal in life, or suffer the fact that I'm just scrolling through social media and I'm accumulating all of this world suffering at that time. It's nice to check international news and see what's happening there and there and there and help however you can, but sometimes you need to get your filter and follow your mission.
So what I'm hearing in what you're sharing is essentially, it sounds like a couple of things. One is just limit your exposure to the doom and gloom, and then also just don't let the doom and gloom dictate that you have no agency, but instead find your agency and act on it. Is that an accurate interpretation of what you're saying?
Yeah, especially I was checking some statistics. So there's this question: do you think there's more suffering in the world right now than it was in the past, or do you think there's uh, a bigger gap between the poor and the rich than it was in the past? And I got to realize also while traveling the world and while talking to experts and checking statistics and everything that there's actually less suffering in the world right now. And a lot of developed countries, or like developing countries actually developed a lot in the past years. We were in India and we were visiting a temple. And one of our friends said, "Oh my God, my uncle has a picture from the same temple from 10 years ago." And we looked at the same temple, and it was different than when we were there. There were more problems around. Like there was a lot of trash around the temple, and we were very surprised to see that. Like a lot of developing countries are going faster and faster, and they're actually developing. So people overall in the world live a better life than they did in the past,
I
which
love
is
that you.
very nice. Or we were in the Forbidden City in China, and I realized, oh my God, this is where kings and queens were some times ago, and people couldn't visit this. I have the privilege to visit this, to be the equivalent of a Chinese queen in 2025. Like, that's insane.
I love that. I love that. And I also love how data driven that is. Like, I think that as we're talking, and as I'm remembering our time together on the road, just how data driven you are in like the best of ways,
Thank
right?
you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember now when we were in New York City, Region 1, and you were counting students who would, so because time was limited in morning program, but there were so many interesting speakers, speakers would often get approached by students after they were done speaking, and you actually took it upon yourself to count those students, which I thought was amazing. I just loved that. It was like, oh gosh, we actually have data that we can rely on rather than just an intuition. So, and I just want to also just lift up and appreciate that about you too, Edie.
Oh, thank you very much.
Of course. Okay, I think we're just about at the end of our time. Do you have any closing thoughts? No pressure, but do you have anything else that you want to share before I hit the stop button on our recording here?
I would say don't be afraid to take that gap year if you want to.
Great.
Because I feel like, at least in my culture, it's pretty taboo to get a gap year. Like, you need to climb that corporate ladder and you need to make money as fast as you can. But sometimes getting a break is more productive than just continuing.
Excellent. Okay, Edie. Well, thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Edith. If you did, please tell at least one friend about it. Give us a 5-star rating and follow the podcast. That will help others find us. Until next time, let's keep our heads clear and our hearts open.